Chibi's laughing at me. Okay. Hi, I'm Erin Moriarty, and welcome to the kind of content that I've always been too afraid to make. Recently, I've been having a lot of problems with my hands, and sometimes it's hard for me to make Sims-related videos because I can't manipulate the characters. However, I do want to do a little bit of less scripted commentary on other subjects, and something came out today that I found out about today. It just blew my mind. Wendy's, like the burger joint Wendy's, has a Wattpad, like a fan fiction Wattpad. My friends, they used to go out and they would lie about their age to go get some cigs or to get into a club, and me, I would lie about my age to go write stories about horny young green riders. That's a joke that only a certain proportion of people are going to get, and they're very, very nerdy and very, very awesome people. But anyhow, I have spent decades writing fan fiction, some of which is good, I guess. It's won awards from other people. Some of it absolutely terrible, objectively and subjectively. I can take criticism. The idea that the social media goddess herself, Wendy's, had a Wattpad, I had to make a video. And when I found out that there were 5 stories and each story was multiple chapters, I wanted to do a reaction to this. So when I found out that Wendy's had fanfiction, so I would show these things and I would explain, like, hey, I really want to do a blind reaction on camera to these stories, so I sent them to a friend of mine who I knew had done fanfiction for a long time herself, and I was like, hey, is this good? Is there something that I can react to on this? And she said yes. So I am going to react to those stories today, dig into some of the tropes, see what the deeper meaning of these stories are, and hopefully have a little bit of harmless fun at the expense of a writer that probably didn't get paid nearly enough for their efforts in this project. Okay, so this is the Wendy's Wattpad, and I'm actually kind of shocked because this has been going on primarily in May. It looks like the last time they really were editing stories was back in like August of 2018, so I'm shocked that 2 years has managed to pass, and this, I mean, it's gotten some interest. Like, these got about like 21,000 reads, 16,000 reads, 37,000 reads, but not the kind of interest that I would expect. I would expect this to be like a kind of funny, meme-y type thing, because I find it kind of funny and memey. So every story is centered around a particular Wendy's menu item. So we've got the lemonade charade, the love limeade and deception, the forbidden fruit tea, the final strawberry lemonade, the Island of Truth Project Sip, which this is the one that I'm most excited about reading, and the Thirst. The Thirst looks like it might be a horror, so I think these are the 2 that I'm most interested in reading, which is interesting to me because this one's only got 6,000 views. Like, why do people... This sounds fascinating! Agent Ava Rex, a member of Project SIP, infiltrates a tropical civilization to uncover the secrets of Medicine Man's truth serum. A master of interrogative techniques, she is shocked to find herself on the I don't know, we're gonna have to read it and find. Like, they actually have individual icons for each one of these, and individual like banner or thumbnails for each one of these. Somebody actually put effort into them. I kind of just expected this to be, like 1 or 2, like 1 story, like 2 chapters, like minimal effort. But whoever did this quite obviously knows a decent amount about fan fiction. So let's dive into the Island of Truth Project SIP. The covert government initiative known as Project SIP, Silent Interrogation Procedures, was on its last leg, and extreme measures had to be taken to keep the operation afloat. Their interrogation procedures were beginning to become obsolete, and to ensure the safe retrieval of information, as well as maintain good standing with other nations, they needed to develop new tactics. Okay, I guess waterboarding's not okay in the Wendy's, United States alternate universe. SIP Intelligence has heard rumblings of the development of a truth serum by a curandero hidden on the island of Santiago, known as the Luth. What is a curandero? Ah, I see. A Spanish folk healer. I don't know how I feel about just arbitrarily taking other people's culture for your fan fiction, but...
When it comes to bullshit, big time, major league bullshit, you have to stand in awe. In awe.
So initial impressions off of just this first chapter, this is written a lot better than I would have expected. I expected that this was going to be riddled with like grammar errors and, just wasn't going to be that high quality writing because it was just product marketing. But I'm honestly quite impressed. Let's see the next part. The wildlife of the region was strange. Fur seals sprawled their gelatinous bodies across the peppered sand like barking driftwood. Okay. Gelatinous bodies? I mean, I get that they're chubby, but they're not like gelatinous. They're not like poke them and they wiggle. Pigtails, do you read me? Oh my god. Of course she would have pigtails because it's Wendy's. The grizzled voice of Captain Davis blared in her ear. Copy. What did I tell you about calling me that? My code name's Tyrannosaurus, she answered with annoyance. Oh, great. So her code name is Tyrannosaurus and her last name is Rex. That's a very fan fiction quality pun right there, let me tell you that. Agent Rex stopped her ascent up the volcano, but she had already erupted with anger at the mention of that name. Her face was flush, but she knew the day would come when she would never have to hear that name again. These are such tropes, the, being treated like a child or like a previously, an older state of yourself, face being flush with anger and she's erupting and that's just, it's so very tropey, I love it. Her hands read the dark rock's surface as she searched for any sort of latch, and with a slight click, the rock face slid aside with a rush of water as she entered. Within 3 steps, she felt a soft brush against her right leg, and the water seemed to get cooler. Then the same around her right leg. How many right legs does she have? She looked down to see that the door was being protected by a school of what appeared to be lion's mane jellyfish. Oh, hell no.
No. No. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. No. 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 Hell no. No. No.
The swirl of jellyfish began to swallow her as she slowly sank into a pit of pain and confusion. The cove went even darker as her body slipped into shock. Only 892 people fanfiction readers, I'm disappointed in you. Ava awoke, seated and changed, to the sight of a masked creature. That is a very oddly worded question or sentence.
Hemorrhagic stroke occurs when a blood vessel in one of the arteries leading to the brain or in the brain bursts, as you see here. So what happens beyond that? There's no blood flow.
Okay. Where am I? She shrieked as she tried to come to her senses. The creature tilted its head and let out a muffled laugh. Okay, so you expect me to believe that this is a retirement-aged special agent, and she's like, I don't buy that.
It's not the years, it's the mileage.
The one and only. Looks like you're parched. I can barely understand you. Emilio, give her something to drink.
A penguin waddled into the room with a canteen clenched between its flippers. The focus of this animal was admirable as it lifted the drink to captured agent's dry lips. The mental image of just this chick and she's chained up, and then there's a freaking penguin waddled over here. Your canteen made him with its little flippers going pip pip. Oh, even Shivy loves it. What the hell is that? She quipped. It's not a quip. A quip is a joke. That's not funny.
Exactly what you came for.
The truth serum.
Seems as though it's already taken effect,
The creature hissed.
That truth serum you speak of is honest tropical green tea.
It's only natural to want the best. That's why Wendy's now serves Honest Tea. Certified organic teas brewed fresh every day.
For marketing, this is solidly well done. A look of terror washed over the agent's face as she realized what she had just ingested. The creature moved close enough for her to feel the heat of its breath.
Do you know why they sent you of all of the SIP agents, Rex?
Because I'm the best. How does this creature know who I am? Ava thought. No, I'm the best and you're just a sequel.
What kind of sequel are we talking here?
Oh, I guess they didn't... Okay, this is, I guess, the creature speaking.
Or a hemorrhage, whatever area beyond that where the stroke occurs, that brain will die.
No, I'm the best. No.
No, I'm the best and you're just a sequel.
What kind of sequel are we talking here? She said reluctantly.
If I'm the mask, you're son of the mask.
No! That was horrible! Hold up. What do you mean, sequel? There was another before her. What kind of magic potion did you give me? You look just like me, she gasped.
The truth is, I am you,
she said as she coldly stared off into the distance.
I was once an elite SIP operative, but I was openly against their earlier techniques. I made it my mission to find the truth without violence, and now you're sent here, out to detain me with the promise that my honest tropical green tea will be used for good,
Then for what?
For nothing.
Okay, I can't do this voice anymore. Why don't you ask me yourself? But first, Emilio, bring the tea. The patter of his little feet rhythmically slapped the floor as he approached with the canteen. The Luth lifted it to her lips and began to drink its contents. Is it real? The Luth interrupted her plea with a single raised finger and continued to drink all the honest tropical green tea within the canteen. She wiped her mouth and let out a sound of refreshment like this was some sort of drink commercial. I mean, it is.
For refreshingly honest tea.
So good. Now that's better.
Is it really true? Agent Rex pleaded with tears in her eyes. The Luth paused, and a smile began to stretch her face. Yes. To be continued. The Island of Truth Project SIP last updated July 2nd, 2019. So this story is called The Thirst, and based on the image, I'm thinking this is a horror story. Sorry, my bird is singing because she's very happy. She's singing and laughing. Sydney's life had gotten a little predictable. She went to the same boring job every day and had the same boring conversations until a mysterious stranger showed up and changed everything. What was his secret? Perhaps it had something to do with the strawberry watermelon Wendy's beverage he was constantly sipping from. Whatever it was, Sydney wanted in. These tears do me good. They have watered the parched place and have left it a little salty because tears are salty. Unknown. I wonder if that's a real quote. It was a Wednesday. In other words, it was like any other day. Only today, George was wearing a yellow tie. George is my desk neighbor, but I wouldn't say we were exactly neighborly, if you know what I mean. I know this sounds harsh, but I try to avoid him most days. Damn, George. George was drinking coffee and talking to Suzanne, but Suzanne wasn't listening because people rarely listen to George. He talks about fishing a lot, and nobody besides George is into fishing. So when George comes by, we pretend to work. We pretend to work all the time, but we especially pretend when George comes by. I stare at my computer screen doing nothing except making sure I don't make eye contact with George. Did you get paid to do this? Like, what kind of job is this? This job sounds amazing.
Looks like you've been missing a lot of work lately.
I wouldn't say I've been missing it, Bob.
Good one.
Oh, that's terrific, Peter.
Judy had a rag in her hand, and she started wiping down the cubicle desk. Everyone, she yelled, there's a new employee starting tomorrow, and I'd like you to give him all a big DT corporate welcome. I love how DT, Dave Thomas's initials, the original founder of Wendy's, rest in peace. Then she left our area and George returned to talk to Suzanne. Him? Did she say him? The thought of a new employee at DT Corporate was the most exciting thing that had happened to me in months. He could be 65 years old with an eye patch and it would be more interesting than the current situation. I don't know if this is poor formatting from whatever they copied and pasted this from or what, but the spacing on that's pretty atrocious. We are meant to taste life and drink it through a straw in a cup with lots of ice, especially on a hot day. I feel like these quotes are being made up specifically for this. I sat down at my desk, turned on my computer, and anxiously waited for the new someone to enter my life. "Hello," someone said to me. I stood up in my cubicle. There was a man sitting at the previously empty desk. I could swear he wasn't there when I walked in. He had a pale skin and long black hair that was slicked back. He was wearing a black shirt, black jeans, and sunglasses. Oh my god, it's Vampire Fic!
This is my torture chamber.
His pale skin seemed to glow under the fluorescent office lights. He extended his hand and I shook it. It was cold to the touch. I almost pulled away, but I felt his force pull me in. He was drinking a bright red drink from a Wendy's cup and seemed to savor every sip.
Well, now you're on your own walking through some existentialist nightmare.
But that doesn't matter, does it?
Drax and I didn't speak the rest of the day. He was in and out of new employee meetings, but I couldn't stop thinking about him. His pasty white skin and those sunglasses. I thought about his eyes. He probably has beautiful eyes. As I was packing up to leave for the day, Drax stood up from his cubicle with his bright red drink in the Wendy's cup. All day? It must not be a very good drink if he's been working on that, nursing that thing all day. "Will I see you tomorrow?" he asked. "Yes," I said. "Then tomorrow we will talk more." I walked out of our area, feeling his eyes on me. That night, I dreamed of Drax, or at least I think I did. He stood at the foot of my bed, drinking the same drink from the Wendy's cup. His skin was glowing. He told me he had lived for hundreds of years, but he had never met someone as interesting as me. He put his drink down and reached off to take his sunglasses, and then I woke up. This is Twilight. Just a little bit older. And if you want to hear me bash on Twilight, you should listen to the episode of the Film Rescue Show where we fixed Twilight. It's bomb as hell. I was at work early the next morning, and there was Drax with his Wendy's drink. "Hello," he said without looking over at me. It was like he sensed me. "Did you sleep well?" he asked. I smiled and didn't say anything. "Tell me about yourself," he asked. I told him I had worked at DT Corporate for a few years and that I had recently broken up with someone. He told me that he loved to travel and had been doing it forever. Our conversation was going great until he abruptly decided he needed to leave. "I have to go," he said, and then he left. About 30 minutes later, he came back with a full Wendy's drink.
Get a bacon double stack with a quarter pound of fresh beef, nuggets, fries, and a drink for just $5. Wendy's Biggie Bag is everything you ever wanted.
Sorry, I'm gonna need all that back.
"Did I say something wrong?" I asked. "No, not at all. I just really like this drink." He stared longingly at the Wendy's cup. I went back to work, and we didn't speak for the rest of the day. There was clearly a barrier between us, the Wendy's drink. So basically what you're telling me is that the only anything standing in between me as my goth vampire bae is a Wendy's drink? That doesn't make me want to drink Wendy's. "As soon go kindle fire with snow, as seek to quench fire of love with a fruity drink." What? The next morning, I decided it was time to take the next step with Drax. We were making casual conversation over our cubicles, and, per usual, he was clenching his Wendy's drink with both hands. I put my hands on top of his. They were as cold as ever. "I'm ready," I said. "Ready?" he said. "For what?" "To join you and quench my thirst." "You want a sip of my drink? Are you thirsty?" "Yes," I said. "I have a thirst for new life. With you." He offered me his drink, and I took a sip. It tasted of strawberry and watermelon. I was surprised by how good it was. It was not what I expected. I stood there a moment and looked into his eyes. "So when does it happen?" I asked. "When does what happen?" he asked. "When do I turn? When do you and I spend the rest of our lives together?" "Forever." "I'm confused," he said. "Don't be," I said. I took another drink from his Wendy's cup. I must not have drunk enough before, but with this last drink I knew I had officially crossed over into a new world, and I was ready. I stared at him for several minutes and felt nothing. Not an ache, not a twinge, or even a tickle, nothing. "Okay, seriously," I said. "What am I doing wrong?" "I feel like you and I are not on the same page," he said. "Geez, enough with the innuendo. I had to be blatant with this guy. Look, it's obvious. You're a vampire, and the drink gives you your power. You dress it up with the Wendy's cup, but I know what it really is."
No. No, man.
Shit, no, man. I believe you get your ass kicked saying something like that, man.
Why do you think I'm a vampire? He asked. Well, for one, your name is Drax. Seriously, who has a name like that unless they're a vampire? Like, true. It was my great-great-grandfather's name. He was beloved, so my parents gave me his name. Strike one. Okay, but what about your pale, cold skin? I asked. My skin is very sensitive to ultraviolet light, he said. I will break out in a rash if I'm exposed to it too much, so I avoid the sun at all costs. And I have an irregular thyroid, which makes my skin cold. I've had it most of my life. Strike two. Well, what about your sunglasses? You wear those inside all the time, I said. I suffer from photophobia. My eyes are very sensitive to any kind of light, but especially fluorescent lights, which this office is full of. But what about the drink? I asked. You seem dependent on it. He paused for what seemed like an eternity. Bingo, I had finally got somewhere. It's Wendy's strawberry watermelon fruit tea, he said. I really can't get enough of it. It's all natural flavors. It's sweet, but not too sweet. I felt betrayed by my feelings. There I stood, opposite a man whom I clearly didn't know, my hands on his cold hands. I didn't know what to say, but rather than say nothing, I said, You're right, Drax. This strawberry watermelon fruit tea is sweet, but not too sweet. I like this for a lot of reasons. The writing is a little slapdash on this one. It's more what I expected. It's more in the line of what I would expect from fan fiction in general. One of the things that I liked about this is they had a male character who has, a physical disability for the most part. I mean, he can't go out in the sun. He is photosensitive to the point where he has to wear sunglasses. His thyroid makes his skin cold all the time. Like, I can relate to a lot of those symptoms. And I can also relate to people having completely ridiculous misconceptions. I mean, never necessarily thinking that I'm a vampire, but I can definitely relate to people having different misconceptions about like who I am and what's going on with me. And I think this has a good message of, maybe don't just start hitting on your coworker / assuming he's a vampire 3 days after he starts working there, and stop it. B, maybe don't just assume in general. Maybe like communicate with people. Maybe if you actually get to know people like you frequently don't do in romance novels, you will actually realize that they're not vampires. So all in all, I loved that story. I was kind of shocked with the other one as well, with the whole twist of it being herself. It was very, very predictable up to that point, and I expected there to be some twist, but I expected it to be somebody that like she used to date, or somebody from her youth, or like her father, or something like that. I didn't necessarily expect it to be herself. So if you'd like to see me read any of the rest of the stories like this, please let me know. Obviously, this is not sponsored by Wendy's. Nobody knows who the hell I am. But hey, Wendy's, if you want to sponsor me, I'm basically giving you free propaganda reads, and I'm okay with that. If you like this video, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.